project got started by Dallin Pavey and I when we were taking a walk through Rittenhouse Square.
We thought re-recording songs would be a great idea and came up with Philadelphia as the songs to re-record.
I wanted a project that I wanted to get into. And I was writing about music for the internet at mp3.com. I was managing pop and rock music there, and I had what we called an e-zine called In the Pocket.
We knew that the Philadelphia was rich in music history and had some of the best musicians in the world here at our fingertips.
Before I called any musician, anyone, I called Steve, because I thought we needed a visual component. We needed something that would really allow a fan to feel like they're a part of this. And if anything, I feel like our fans feel like they're a part of In the Pocket. That's what I'm probably most proud of.
When I was doing late nights on WMMR in my second incarnation, which began in '78, a couple years into that, I got a chance to start doing a new music show as New Wave was exploding, and WMMR wanted to represent that. So Hooters came in and brought in Man in the Street, their first recorded demo, and the first airplay they ever got was that first Guerrilla Theater.
My first experience seeing the Hooters was at the Willow Grove Park Mall. Didn't know these guys standing on stage representing all the colors of the rainbow would still be a part of my life today, you know, so many years later.
Die Hooters habe ich das erste Mal 2011 gesehen, hier in Bayreuth. Da waren sie die Vorgruppe von Status Quo. Und sie sind auf die Bühne gekommen und ich war sofort fasziniert. Die haben so viel Freude an ihrer Musik, so wie sie spielen, die Energie, die Kraft. Und das hat mich so motiviert. Also ich war von der ersten Sekunde bis zur letzten total begeistert.
What's my favorite Hooters song? That's a tough one. There are so many. Beat Up Guitar definitely stands out though. It's anthemic, it's very emotional, and it provides a connection to Philadelphia for me, not being a Philadelphia native. When I hear that song, I long for the city.
I'm not originally from the Philadelphia area, but when I hear Beat Up Guitar, it really makes me feel like I am part of Philly and part of the Philadelphia music scene.
My favorite is still Beat Up Guitar, and it's very simple. First of all, it's about Philly. I love Philly music. I'll always champion Philly music. But better than that, it's one of those songs that you can listen to the words and it immediately makes its own video in your mind. You listen to each one, you can picture what he's saying, you can picture the mood, you can picture the room he's in, you can picture the room around him, you can picture the beat up old guitar. It's just a perfect song for that, a perfect one to let you decide who's doing it, what they look like, where they're going, and how you'd fit into it too.
What's interesting is that it didn't become a national or an international hit, and as they toured around the world, and this band has been all around the world representing this city, for them, you know, even after it came out, they didn't play it overseas. I think they could have. It would have been a nice calling card wherever they might have gone, but they didn't play it. However, here it started and then it has snowballed and taken on this marvelous life of its own. So much so that on holidays on MMR, I will always get requests for it. Every time I do a grouping of Hooters songs, a block of Hooters songs, people will say, got to throw in Beat Up Guitar.
You lived on Vine Street I lived at home. The music was all that we had of our own. No satisfaction, no gas in my car, but I had the keys to the world in my beat-up guitar. With my beat-up guitar, you and I will ride away from the town that rocked the nation, Philadelphia, PA.
Beat Up Guitar came from the twisted minds of Rob Hyman and Eric Bazilian, me. And as I recall, it went through a couple of different stages of evolution. We had the chorus initially, and we had the na 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 na. That was the first thing that we had.
An oldie for us, you know, some 20 plus years, Hooters song. Eric and I wrote one day, I think towards the end of the Zigzag album. It's on our third album we did for Columbia. We definitely had a concept, which was Philly and, you know, starting a band and just what it's like, that those moments, those magic teenage years for most of us, when you just get the bug. We had the bug.
It's a rock and roll song about a beat-up guitar, and it talks about our great city, Philadelphia. You know, I mean, it basically is a little bit of In the Pocket in the song, you know? So we play this when we play live. We usually close the show. And I've had such great guitar players, all my friends that I've never, you know, hadn't had a chance to play with, join me in the shows, and now they're joining me on this track.
I was involved with the original recording of this song many, many years ago, in the 80s actually. And so it was great to kind of come back to it after all these years and do it again, and, you know, have with a whole new perspective. I mean, this one is Hooters influenced, but it's a whole new you know, idea. It's a whole new feel.
The folks that are on the session today, it's kind of a Hooter core, you know, a creamy nougat center of Hooter, and then just kind of all of these Philly luminaries popping in to do little bits. It's nice because I don't think there's anybody here on the session who I haven't played with before, but it's been, other than Ben, who I play with pretty regularly still, it's been a while since I've played with a lot of these guys.
Today we're really trying to interpret it in a fresh way, not change a lot of the things that make the song what it is. Everybody was kind of talking about how the song feel at first. And not quite as rigid, just a little loosey-goosey.
Why don't you leave the track the way it was and just put us on 4 ODs? Well, now you can be on 3 and 4, right? We recorded Beat Up Guitar originally at Studio 4.
The old Studio 4 on 4th and Callow Hill.
We did a bunch of it actually in between New York and Philly with Phil Nicolo from Studio 4, Steve Churchyard, a great British engineer, did some of that album at the record plant in New York. And I think we went back and forth.
When we originally did the track, there was a real energy to it. There was a real kind of talking about like history. It was sort of like, this is where we are, this is where we've been, and this is in a way, who we are as a band. So it was a real statement of, we're from Philadelphia and we're proud of that. You know, and I think that really shows in the original recording.
I remember we spent so much time getting a snare drum sound, which is kind of funny today because we don't spend very much time at all doing that. You know, I don't know if we've gotten better at it or we don't really care. You know, we just throw a nice snare up there, does it sound right, and we go for it, you know.
I don't really know how Frank Friedel made its way into Beat Up Guitar. I have my suspicions. A lot of the song was inspired by my early experience with Nick Jameson and the American Dream. They had a rehearsal place on Vine Street. They didn't live there, but I did live at home. And as everyone knows, they did Frank Friedel. They made that song famous. I think it was actually an old folk song, Rocking Chair, which became Frank Friedel before the American Dream had their way with it.
When we were looking for a bridge to take this song to another place, that just dropped in our laps kind of out of nowhere. And it's one of my favorite parts of the song because it's so unexpected, you know, it's a nod to, I believe it was American Dream and Frank Friedel, and we said, well, we're going to just borrow those words in the tradition of folk music, you know, troubadours. It just keeps getting handed down.
As far as when it actually entered the song, you know, songwriting is such an unconscious process. You know, things just come flying at you from everywhere, like bats in the night.
And it's funny, you know, Frank Friedel goes straight to Frankfurt. You know, what else?
I may leave this place tomorrow, but my soul is here to stay in the town that rocked the nation, Philadelphia, PA. You can't get to heaven on the Frankfurt L. You can't get to heaven on the Frankfurt L. You can't get to heaven on the Frankfurt L. You can't get to heaven on the Frankfurt L. Oh, you can't get to heaven on the Frankfurt L, 'cause the Frankfurt L goes straight to Frankfurt. It's just another stop till I find my destination.
I just played piccolo trumpet on the song, much like the Beatles did with some of their famous classics. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah?
Yeah. So yeah, so it's a ba-da-da-da-dee-da, ba-da-da-ba-bum, and then punch, ba-da-ba-da-da-da.
It's called Beat Up Guitar, so where's the guitar? You know, like there's a solo, and Eric plays a brilliant solo, but it's kind of short and sweet.
You know, we usually end the show with Beat Up Guitar, and that would be a good spot to stretch out. And Rob has pushed for that, you know, to get us to draw out the guitar solos at the end.
If we're going to redo Beat Up Guitar and revisit this track, let's have some guitars. And so it seemed like obvious that we just extend the jams, and in particular at the end we kind of have this round robin, and we have 4 great guitar players. Eric, Steve Butler's here, Jim Boggia, who's not only singing incredibly well but plays mean guitar, and Bill Wittman, who's not only playing bass but plays great guitar as well. So I said, guys, just get in the room and just, you know, trade off licks, and it was a blast. I mean, you know, it's really fun.
Music education is extremely important, and you know, it's being cut oftentimes in public school programs. So it's a fabulous cause. Everybody's having a great time doing it. There's no downside.
Underlying all of this is that it's a project to help the Settlement Music School in Philly, which is this, you know, long-standing institution that teaches music and ballet and the arts to kids, which, you know, we really need. The public schools certainly aren't doing it. You know, it's really nice to be involved in that, and I know that Dave's been doing this now for like a couple of years, and it's been just a really successful thing. So really nice, and feel honored to finally be a part of it.
Settlement is there to help people, and who knows where the next Eddie Vedder is? Who knows where the next Mick Jagger and Keith Richards are? Who knows where the next Green Day or Linkin Park, the current bands of today, or Bruce Springsteen? Maybe they're in one of these classes. Maybe they're struggling to learn an instrument. Maybe they don't have a lot of dough. Settlement is there for them time and time and time again. All these guys in the pocket, every musician you talk to has a different story as to how they started. You know, or maybe their uncle gave them a beat-up guitar. Maybe their uncle gave them a piano and said, you know, try this out. And they found something that spoke to them They needed education. They go to settlement school, they get it, and even if they don't make it to superstardom, they get this incredible fulfillment that helps them as a person.
The beat-up guitar that song is actually about doesn't exist anymore. It was another 56 Les Paul Gold Top that I got when I was 13, which was stolen out of a car wreckage in Montreal in 1976 when we were on our way to make the first Baby Grand album. I was in the van driving the gear up, and the gas line froze up. It was 40 below. We skidded to the side of a bridge. I thought we were going over. The guardrail stopped us. The driver was slumped over unconscious. The singer broke his nose. I was sitting on my Vox amp between the seats with no seat belt, banged my knee up a little bit, but otherwise I was fine. And they took us to the hospital, towed the van, and when we got back to the van, my guitars were gone.
Wow, that's a great story. Holy crap.
No, it's not a great story. It's a terrible
It's a
story.
shitty story, but that's a great story.
So
it's
that
a good insight.
So that beat up guitar, who knows what happened with that. The Gold Top that I'm playing now is the separated at birth twin to that one, which I found at a music store in LA in 1991. And as soon as I picked it up, I knew this isn't the same guitar, but it's gonna replace that one for me.